So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Well, what an engaging day this has been. And once again, a big, big thank you to all our delegates for pouring out your questions to our respective panelists. Well, yet again, for this panel, you do get the liberty of typing in your questions to our panel, if any, through the Q&A tab on your screen when you're viewing it. Do remember to keep typing your questions, and I'll take it up with the moderator and the panel during the session or at the end of the session if time allows. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're right now at the Leadership Fireside Chat and Leadership, the Future of Finance, and what is the CFO's agenda for your business? Well, we've got with us Ms. Neetu Samra, Director Finance LeasePlan India Private Limited, as one of our panelists. Neetu is a Finance Director and a board member of LeasePlan India. Besides driving the finance function, she has also been spearheading company strategic agenda and business transformation initiatives. She's played a pivotal role in delivering exceptional results for the company in terms of cost savings, operational efficiencies, and the overall bottom line improvement. With over 20 years of experience in her domain, Neetu has worked across different realms of service industry. We also are joined by Mr. Sugit Kumar, Business Finance Lead Commercial Global Equipment Carrier in Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Limited. Sugit is a seasoned, versatile finance leader with over 20 plus years of multi-industry and functional experience across advisory, controllership, strategic planning, M&A, and business transformation. Sugit strongly believes in collaboration with business to drive growth and financial health of the organization. His mantra is clear communication on organization goals, simplification and automation to drive productivity. Also, we're joined by Mr. Hemant Kumar Ruia, Finance Director, SCO Region, DP World Private Limited. Hemant has over 2.5 decades of professional experience, having spent several years with well-established companies. His expertise lies in driving profitable growth of companies by partnering with the businesses and driving a change and performance management. Hemant has a well-rounded experience in various aspects of finance, treasury, risk management, compliance, and corporate governance. We're also joined by Mr. Jayaprakash Kalapan, Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary, Panasonic Appliance India Company Limited. Jayaprakash is a qualified chartered accountant, cost accountant, and a company secretary. He has 20 years of rich experience ranging from finance strategy, corporate financing, compliance, regulatory, M&A, risk management, secretarial and legal in IT, service, and manufacturing sector industries. We are also having Mr. Rahul Kedia, Head Finance, Supply Chain, IT, and Company Secretary, Roche Diabetes Care India Private Limited. Rahul is a dynamic professional with 17 plus years of experience in the areas of planning, corporate and plant level or accounting audits, controlling and commercials, taxation, company secretarial, and statutory compliance and MIS. We also have Mr. Mandar Borkar, Chief Financial Officer, Indoco Remedies Limited. Mandar is responsible for the overall finance, legal, and secretarial information technology and supply chain in his current role. A chartered and a cost accountant, having an excellent career track with multinational and Indian organization. Well, absolutely a transformational leader with demonstrated financial and business skills, having worked at leadership and strategy position, managing large teams. Well, we also have Mr. Debashish Nandi, President and Group CFO, Thomas Cook India Limited. Debashish has been with the Thomas Cook since 2008 and is presently the President and Group Chief Financial Officer. He has over 30 years of diverse experience in the field of finance and accounts, with stints at Piramal Healthcare, Aviva, ICI, and Indian Aluminium. With his expertise and diverse experience, Debashish plays a significant role in the performance of the company and is a key member of the group management committee. And ladies and gentlemen, this entire panel discussion is going to be moderated by Mr. Hemant K. Jain, Chief Financial Officer, Reliance General Insurance Company Limited. Hemant Jain is a fellow member of the ICAI and a CFO of the Reliance General Insurance with a career spanning 22 years, out of which 18 years are of general insurance. So ladies and gentlemen, with this, I lead it up to the able hands of Mr. Jain for taking it forward with his panel, and a big, big thank you to all of you for taking out your valuable time. Over to you, Mr. Jain.
Thank you very much, Bhavna, for the nice introduction. And I'm very happy that our all panelists are coming from the different backgrounds. So people are there from IT background, people are there from BFSI, manufacturing, and of course insurance and other areas. So see, our today's agenda for the discussion in this panel discussion is future of finance, and as a CFO, what kind of agenda we really need to carry for the days to come. And I am sure that the topic is very interesting, and when people are coming from different domain and background, we will be able to discuss so many things and areas where we really need to focus that how finance function will look like in the days to come. See, we all have been seeing changes. Changes have always been the part and parcel of our life, and our generations have seen, that changes every time. But I think one thing which is now changing completely is the pace at which the changes are happening. Not only in our day-to-day life, in our business also. And I think that is something, if you really ask me on the technology front, if you look at it, the way businesses we were operating in earlier period and the way we are operating today, and the things which are changing at the speed is really something which we really need to discuss in detail. The expectations of the customers are changing very fast. Expectations of the shareholders. As a CFO, I think we need to manage expectations of shareholders. We need to manage expectations of customers. We need to manage expectations of our partners, our employees. So in overall value creation chain, CFO plays a very, very important role. We will discuss about all those kind of technology areas, which is very, very crucial and helpful for CFO to play their roles. Risk management is other area where you know that the changing regulatory paradigm, the new regulations, new laws which are coming day by day, that is also one of the important area for CFOs from an overall risk management point of view. You know that this year a pandemic has created altogether a different kind of challenges in cash flow positions of the various industries, various companies, and as well as the kind of trends we are seeing in the interest rates and overall economy. I think risk management again is becoming a very, very crucial area. And the important area again, when the things are changing at so rapid speed, how we are able to manage our own skill, what kind of skill a CFO is required to deliver it to all the stakeholders, and what kind of talent CFO required to run a successful finance business or finance function. I think these are a few of the areas I would like to ask my esteemed panel discussion to discuss some of these points and to take the discussion forward. So my first question is to Mr. Debashish. See that the next generation is going to bring lot of changes the way we are operating as a finance function. Mr. Debashish, would you like to please elaborate this thing that what kind of changes you think that in finance function is likely to come, and how as a CFO you have an agenda to address those challenges?
Debashish, you are in mute.
Can I request Mrs. Sujit to take my question? Debashish is not able to. I'm not able to hear him. So I'll repeat my question. See, the next decade, Sujit, the next decade
Sorry,
is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Sorry about that. So what I'm saying is, over the last few decades, the role of the CFO has been undergoing a dramatic change. CFO traditionally was someone who was supposed to look at the usual stuff, which is accounting, taking care of the audit, getting the MIS done, looking at taxation and compliance and stuff like that. But what has changed in the last, over the last couple of decades is that the CFO's role in business partnering is becoming increasingly important. So CFO is known to be, a very critical part of the key management. In fact, CFO is designated as a key MP as per the Companies Act. and he plays a very critical role in planning the strategy and also in the execution. So the business partnership, he has to be somebody who's very close to the business heads, and obviously the CEO needs to understand the various facets of the business and also the KPIs of each business in terms of non-financial parameters. I'm not talking the financial parameters alone. And he needs to work with them very closely and provide inputs from a finance point of view as to how he thinks the business should be working or taking it forward. So the role of the CFO in becoming a business partner is extremely important. Um, one of the things I can mention in this, and this is from my own practical experience, is also how the CFO can use some of the financial parameters and ingrain that into the business. For example, we all know about cash flow. As finance people, we all know about cash flow. That's part of our bread and butter, so to say. And we all also understand as finance people that that's a key parameter for a business. It's actually more important than the profit than the profit that you make, because cash is something very tangible and profit is not. And obviously, in the last 6 months, all of us have learned how valuable cash flow is to the business. All of us have been conserving cash, and we have understood the value of the cash like never before. Now, however, the knowledge of cash flow or even the concept of cash flow is not very normal in a business within the business. So cash flow is how to maximize the cash flow, how to optimize the cash flow in terms of maximizing your collections, minimizing debtors, stretching out creditors, not by not paying them, but using more innovative means than that, managing the inventory. All these are very important. And all of this the CFO can't manage on his own. The CFO actually has to actually involve the business head and the key people in the business to make those things happen. So this is an important area that has emerged in the role of the CFO over the last several years.
Thanks, Devashish, for your nice comments. And I completely agree that the CFO has to play a key role in the business partnering, because now that is the role. So the typical accounting function is actually being handled by by the technology, and most of the things where that the decision making and other stuff, risk management, all these areas are actually now the key domain area of a CFO, and that is where I think that things are changing. So my next question to Mr. Rahul Kedia, that that the technology, I think, has become a part and parcel of a CFO's function. Now, I would like to understand what kind of things in terms of the technology you feel that a finance function should adopt. If you can give some of your experience, or if you can give some of good ideas to our panelists and to our audience, I think that will be really great.
Thanks, Hemant, for asking this question. I'll say my experience. So before getting into the technology, I'll say that when I started my career, it was a manual bookkeeping. So the bulky books need to be handwritten, and then that's how the was look like also. So it was purely pen and paper, and now we work upon high end.
Rahul, your voice is not clear.
Is it okay now?
Better.
Yeah, better.
Okay.
Yeah, Rahul, if you can just come a little more loud on the voice. It's very soft, very soft. I'm so sorry to cut in.
No problem. So is it better now?
Yeah, better.
Perfect. So I was just telling that we had already seen a journey from the heavy books, pen and paper mode to already to ERP. So that has already been one round of automation which we have seen into the finance functions particularly. But now I think while Debashish had already spoken about a lot in terms of how the finance functions used to shape up, I think in that the technology has a very vital role to play with, and that's where I think we can leverage upon human minds to work upon the strategic and the critical thing for the business, and the mundane and the routine jobs we can automate it, and that's where the new AI or robotics technologies can take care of it. In many of the places, it's already taking care of it, so we can literally leverage upon that. Even the bookkeeping and expense booking and everything can be automated. In many places, it has been already been done. Now, the next level on which, at least in where we are currently focusing, is the analytics parts also. So gone are the days, I think, where heavy Excel files were being done and then advanced macros and the pivot tables. I don't think that is anyway required, because the technology can easily give you dashboards which can be logically, you can interpret it, and it can also be shared quickly, not only with the finance but also with the non-finance business leaders, and we can also be on the same page. So I think technology merged with the business acumen there. It's the call of the day, and I think the finance guys, including the CFO, can be a very vital uh, contributor there, because we don't only understand the business, we have a 360-degree perspective of the entire business which is going, and that's where we can really add value from the past, which we have seen it, and also the future, where the business and the strategy is onward looking. So we can merge both, and we can really come out with unique solutions to cut out the routine works, and we can focus more onto the strategy where we really need to apply our brain logics and then cater to the customers. So that's how I look upon.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Rahul. I think these are all the, I think, area you mentioned rightfully, that the robotic process automation is one of the key area nowadays that most of the companies have started adopting in finance function from the reconciliations point of view. And then there are a lot of other areas. It is not only one reconciliation on payment processing, on vendor management in finance function. And of course, like as an insurance company, when we are running, we have put robotic process in many of other areas like claim settlement, in our underwriting, and many of like direct customer facing activities. So of course, the new age technology analytics is again going to be a very, very key area for the companies which are primarily in the service sector and even in the manufacturing sector, because nowadays you know that lot of data we have started capturing on the customer behavior and all of on other areas. I think in all these areas, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotic processes, these are going to play a key role. And as a finance function, definitely CFO need to see that most of the things which are running in an earlier kind of regime need to immediately move on the, because the expectations of the customers, expectations of the vendors, and all other people have also increased significantly in terms of the servicing. So thank you very much. But I think very important, my next question is again related to this piece, that when we ask that so much dependability of finance function on technology, now at the same time, it is also important that what kind of talent training, how CFO should, first question, how CFO should equip himself on the mastering of skill of all these kind of things. And secondly, how he should ensure that the team across in finance function should be like fully enabled to handle those kind of technology things and also to implement. You should not be dependent on external consultant in implementing few of these things which are fairly simple to implement. So my question, this question I would request Mr. Jay Prakash to address, that what kind of skill is required to run the finance function for CFO and for the CFO's team.
Thank you, Mr. Jay. So you see our company's Panasonic Appliances is into the manufacturing and selling of kitchen appliances for last 30 plus years in the industry. It has own integral management system, including the production, sales, marketing, R&D in one roof. It has sales and marketing offices of 9 states in India. So we shall take care of the entire respective region and also exploring the export market of about 50 plus countries, including Japan, where the technology has shifted from them. The company is producing about 3 major products such as rice cooker, mixer grinder, and wet grinder, with the SKU of 400 plus models. So being we are into the FMG sectors and doing the marketing direct through our distributors and dealers, we could foresee the many compliances issues in terms of the consumer related litigations, labor issues, and the warranty claim issues like barcode. It is more complexity to deal with our complaints. So having said this, our company's background, So the complaints is one of the challenges in India. So the key complaints challenge in India so more of the complaints team in the middle-sized companies is very small. So they are always depend on the external resources like demand basis. This is due to the unavailability of the in-house expertise and the resource. So similarly, many laws and acts and filing and complaints are existing in India. You see that in India about 3,500 acts and laws are exist. About 68,000 plus complaints are we are doing that every year. However, it is important to know that accurate list of the applicable acts and complaints to the organization where we can address it on priority and proper way. Almost all the days the government has released the many publications and notification and circular like in the form of GO. It is very difficult to follow to have the control over it. So lack of artificial intelligence tools and technology. So similar lack of awareness of the suppliers vendors to file the returns on time. So many organizations are facing hard time when they are availing the input tax credit under the GST systems. So these are the key challenge areas in the compliance side. So as being the compliance officer, it is my responsibility to comply all the compliances on time. If delay, so obviously there will be need to pay some cost for that. But how to overcome these compliance challenges? So to monitor the effective overall compliances, we have engaged our team of some internal auditors to review the compliance in terms of its risk and the severity. Also, we update the status of the pending legal and tax litigation to our Indian board for the review and guidance. As a compliance officer, we should alert the management before something is not going well. You should create the culture and the anti-corruption compliance. And create and adopt the SOP for all compliances as part of the as part of the company code of business conduct. Try to minimize to delegate such high-level complaints tasks to the lower-level staff unless they have access to perform their deliverables. Also, make them understand that the consequences of violation of the act and the rules. Keep all the key documents in the digital form, even it is required for the assessment or not. It will support you to track it quickly when needs. So no assessment does every next year after the closure of books. It takes at least 3 to 4 years, maybe sometimes some more. And everyone should appreciate the data become the information only if it is readily available at the required time. So always take the reasonable steps to regularly monitor, evaluate, and conduct the risk management as part of the day-to-day operations. This helps the management to understand how could they face the worsened situation in best way. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you, Jay Prakash. I think very interesting that how you have handled compliances. So my next question is again to Mr. Mandar. CFO role, when we look at from a compliance and control point of view, generally in an organization, it comes with a conflict with other functions many times. You know that your marketing team, your sales team wants like or more free hands as compared to the CFOs who really wanted to work within the boundaries and all. Now, from that perspective, how important for a CFO now in today's environment when you know that there are so many changes in the law, in the regulation, the pace at which the changes are happening, how do you ensure that the CFO is updated and second, he is able to mandate this piece to the other non-finance functions as well and get the acceptability in the organization? So this question to Mr. Mandar.
Hemant, I think Mr. Mandar is not able to join today.
Okay, no problem. So if I can request any of the panelists who can address my question. Is mandate of CFO finance function to shift and to ensure that acceptability there in the other part of the functions in an organization, be it compliance. Mr. Debashish mentioned that cash flow is again one of the important area for CFO to manage. How you will ensure that the other functions also understand the importance of cash flow, understand the importance of compliance, understand the importance of controls. Anybody from the panel if can address
So, Hemant to Hemant, let me try. Okay. So, no, so this is a very relevant question, because you know what happens is it's all about acceptability. You are trying, or actually in the process of moving to the next gear, which is basically being a business partner, being a co-pilot, and that's what your need is. However, are the people in the other people in the organization seeing you as such? So it's very important that they see you basis what you have brought to the table. By just becoming mandate giver is not going to take anyone anywhere, because even cybersecurity people are one step ahead of the law. So if you try just to be a lawmaker, there will be people who will be 2 steps ahead of the law. So it's more the case where you understand the business, you're a co-pilot to the business, and when you start talking, you are becoming a part of the business rather than a lawkeeper. The moment you become a part of the business and you say you start working with them to solve the problem. Now, a problem can be solved by saying no also. Okay, so it's not that by saying a no, you are kind of just becoming a lawkeeper. As long as you try to solve the problem with them, and then say, look, guys, I don't think we are reaching anywhere. What do you think? A no is a good answer in such cases. And sometimes it may be necessary for you to take calls. Some calls which may just not be based on numbers. What is called the gut. And the higher you rise, the more gut. Numbers only are a guiding factor. The gut becomes more important. So the moment you start taking calls basis gut and say, okay, guys, if this number is saying something, but I'm fine, let's go ahead. Basis my gut, I'm okay with it. So you again become a part of them. So the moment, all I'm saying is that if you become a part of them, you solve a problem for them, either in a manner which is well received by them as a positive outcome, or a manner which is well received by them but has a negative outcome, you will be accepted. Your processes will become the blood of the organization rather than you always chasing the thieves and robbers within inverted commas.
Yeah, I think, Hemant, just to add here, 2 things what I will just add here. One, other than what Mr. Hemant Aruya just said, training, I feel, is also a very important part of this. And not just training the finance people is a CFO's responsibility, even the non-finance people, specifically how their activities, how their role also translates to the company's financial objectives. So how their role contributes to the cash flow. What's a collection, let's say, important for the organization, so that it also becomes important for the salesperson or any other function for that matter. So I think that part also brings a lot of acceptability. And then answering the second part, which you talked about, compliance, I think technology plays a lot of role again there. There are good tools available with which you can do the monitoring of those compliances well. And otherwise, I think keeping yourself updated and then monitoring those compliances becomes a humongous task. So with the technology, again, I think CFOs can manage it while being a business partner. So not just being protecting that, okay, this is not within the compliance, so it can't happen, but how that impacts and how that can be monitored is again very crucial.
Yeah, thanks, Neetu. So my next question to Mr. Sugit, I think again very, very important that as a part of all the panelists agree that a CFO need to play as a business partner role. He is not a typical accountant. Now, while handling a business partner role, though as a CFO, he has enough skills in terms of accounting, financial decisions and all. But as a business partner role, what do you think that what kind of additional skill set a CFO really need to develop within himself or herself in order to become a good business partner and without compromising on any of the controls, processes, compliances? So what kind of skill set do you think that is required for any person to become a very successful CFO as a business partner? Mr. Sujit, we are not able to hear you.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Sugit, we're facing some issue from your end on the audio. But Mr. Jain, whilst Mr. Sugit is resolving on that, if you could direct a question to Ms. Neetu as well, and we can take it forward from there. We'll just get that sorted. Just allow us a moment. Thank you.
So my request to Neetu, if she can address.
Yeah, sure. So if I understand the question, Mr. Jain.
I'm audible now?
I think let's
Yeah.
meet.
Okay, sorry, apologies for the confusion. So I was saying, if we take a step back and see how the CFO role has evolved over the years and what we see as a CFO now, first and foremost, from a skill set, I would say it's more of first a mindset of what we believe a CFO should be delivering to the system. I think over the years, traditionally, if you go back donkey years back, CFOs, they themselves thought their mandate was to protect the cash in the company, ensure highest level of controls, a lot of processes to manage those controls. I think the first thing is a mindset change for us to believe that a lot of processes does not mean a lot of goodness in the system. So for us to believe that systems have to be fast paced, of course controls are important, but where is the point where we have to draw a line between how many processes, how many controls versus the business enablement of it? Second, I believe from a skill perspective is to be up to date about what are the technologies available today. And when I say technology, I'm not restricting it to technologies that impact a finance process. I'm saying technology from an overall organization perspective. As CFOs, obviously, we are in a very, very, I would say, unique position to connect the dots within all the systems, all the functions, all the departments in an organization. So when people bring up business proposals, maybe on capital investment or on headcount investment or opening new offices, a CFO honestly has the best view on how to connect between a business requirement, business output, and what it means from an ROI perspective. So to that extent, as much as we can enable systems which throw out information easily, in terms of access and speed, that's where we have to invest our people, our resources. Traditionally, finance has been a myth of holding a lot of information close to their heart, so not allowing easy access, let's say. I think first and foremost, we have to change that mindset in our people. Information is information. So as much as access of information we can provide to the people in the system, that much it enables faster decision making. And then next, I would say for a CFO, the most important skill set is collaboration. To the earlier discussion, which Mr. Ruia mentioned, it's important for us to create awareness within our peers, within our colleagues, to believe that the mandate of finance is completely in alignment with the corporate's mandate and vision. So to that extent, finance is not a separate unit, which is, looking at something different for a corporate. And to that extent, when we, interact with a marketing function or a sales organization, the way we set up things around targets, for example, or how we incentivize our channel partners, or how we develop schemes, we have to look with it a hat of a CEO, but with a CFO lens to say that what will get growth to the system, what will help us scale higher from where we are today, and get the CFO lens to see that it is within a suitable risk range, which the organization as an appetite can manage. And that drive that culture first within your own teams as CFOs, because even as we develop the finance function, it's important to help your team also understand these same things, and then run it through your peers. And once you have that awareness in the system that everyone is end of the day running for the common goal, that it becomes much easier. And then the last point I would say from a CFO perspective is, as we look at technology, it's very important for us to plan ahead next 5 to 10 years. Where do we see the finance function evolving? So obviously technology means there would be aspects around people feeling a little uncomfortable in terms of job securities, even for the routine functions. So how do we upskill overall finance force? How do we differentiate between things can be processed or, auto handled, developed and run? What are the things where you still need the human brain, because that's what is controlling end of the day everything. So build up that ecosystem in a larger finance community on how do you differentiate between areas where you'll have systems and automation running the show. Where do you need human brain and power to run things like compliances or even things like enablement of business? And accordingly, build up that scale in your own finance organizations and ensure that the skills of people are kind of tuned to that level.
Thank you very much. Very nice response to my question. My next question to Neetu, that that the risk management is again becoming a very crucial, and the point is that that there are fast changing risk perspectiveness on the market risk side, on interest risk side, on the on the cyber risk kind of thing, technology risk. Innovations are coming up, disruptions are happening in the businesses. So many, and this year I think the pandemic has added the risk management area into altogether into a different level. I think while all so many things which are there in the businesses, you are also the part of the board member, and you have always the dual lens to look into it. So what is your view that what kind of advanced precautions as a CFO need to take while having their role, and to ensure that at right point of time he is able to show torch to all the people, to the respective stakeholders also within an organization?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, Mr. Jain, risk management is becoming an important aspect of any business. I think I'm largely from a financial services industry where it's very critical, but I think in today's date it is critical for every business. That is what this pandemic has even taught us. And I feel finance and risk, like finance and business partnering also goes hand in hand. So a CFO cannot really separate himself or herself from the risk management side of the business. And with the kind of 360-degree view, as other CFOs mentioned, and the privilege of the information we have, and the understanding of the processes of the organization also, I think where the risk lies, where there are those chances of operational failures happening, the interest risk impacting the organizations. So the understanding of the CFOs is quite a lot there. So I think it's inherent part of the CFO's job. But how I look at it is, it's not just to eliminate risk. I think a CFO need to really look at how to manage those risks. I think in today's environment, it's not really possible for us to completely eliminate the risk. If that would have been possible, somebody would have predicted this pandemic, but unfortunately we couldn't. So we need to understand how do we really manage those risks. So raising those timely alarms in the organizations. So if, let's say, this pandemic has happened, that there are risks on the liquidity, there are risks from defaults happening, there are risks on the cost side, etc., or the kind of interest rate environment is there in the market. So alarming the different business segments of that is the first and foremost duty which I would say a CFO has to play, and then obviously accordingly planning necessary actions which can be taken to minimize those risks. Some could be prevented on a timely manner, etc. So in summary, I think pretty much an inherent part of the CFO's role to be managing those risks.
Yeah, thank you, Neetu, for a nice response. I think we have some 5-7 minutes left, so now I will be having some open questions if anyone can help me in addressing those things. So I think one important thing which as a CFO I am also many times I think about it, that when there are so many challenges in front of a CFO to handle, he has to work as a business partner, he has to continuously work on innovation, technology, things are changing at a very fast pace, and the risk management are going into altogether a different paradigm. So from that perspective, a CFO is not free from all these things, and it is extremely important that whatever the key role which CFOs have always been handling till now, the typical accounting function, finance role, to what extent you are comfortable or your views in terms of in-house management of the key activities in finance function or outsourcing of those activities. How do you see the future will look like from that perspective?
Rahul this side.
Yeah, Hemant.
There's no concrete answer for this, at least from my perspective, but I believe there's to be a balance.
See, you're not audible.
Sorry. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry. My view is that I don't think there is any concrete answer as per me, but I think it's a continuous journey, and we have to continuously review and balance what makes sense for the business and where to invest time. We have been moving very fast, and I think in the finance function as such, or as a CFO, I would say yesterday we had just had a Vijayadashmi, and it gave me a recall that we all actually play a role like Ma Durga, that we have to have 10 different hands to play many multiple roles. And that's how I think as a CFO we are also juggling the multiple roles, but now we have to really prioritize that what makes sense and for the future. And that's where we can automate it, we can outsource it, certain activities which are not business critical, but yes, something we may still keep in-house like tax or something which is posing a risk to the business if it is not managed well, but focusing more on to the new ideas or new growth drivers. I would say rather focusing more on to the business driver with a strict hat of a CFO also at times, because we can't be yes to all the proposals. What doesn't make sense for a long-term perspective for the business, we have to be firm and say no. So that is how I think in short on the finance functions handling multiple roles coming up.
Yeah, thank you. One important area which again would like to discuss with the panelists, and if anyone can answer me as far as the best practices are concerned. In earlier time, we used to prepare our budgets and all for generally for 1 year's time, and then we used to track those numbers. But you know that the changes at what pace the things are changing. Every month we see some or other stuff, some new product coming in, a competition is launching new things. So many things are changing, and that is the expectation of the business also, that we have to have our budgets also continuously evolving over a period of time, and you can have a multiple versions even within a year. So to what extent the granularity of the budgets are required? To what extent do you think that these changes in your budgeting process required? Any best practices which anyone can share from the panel? That will be really nice.
So, Mr. Jain, what I do, I can share, is I go for a rolling forecast, which every month we do the next 12 months. So that's a challenge. So as you rightly pointed out, that involves some significant, time and effort, and hence what we use is a tool to do that. And obviously it's not that it's zero time, but then the tool dramatically helps to cut down your time and brings it more in line with your reality. So what we do is while we have budgets which are turned into KPIs. Now KPIs may not change for at least this year. So your target remains the same, but your means of achieving the target can keep changing, and which is where the rolling forecast, what we call it, helps, or some call it the current estimates. And if one route is not taking you there, you will take another route to reach there. And so effectively what we have been able to do is rather than get hit by a significant variance after some point in time, suddenly you wake up and realize that I don't have so much of time left to bridge the gap. We kind of get a early warning immediately that there is a problem and what can we do. And that's where the management kicks in, where then we kind of get into a huddle to see how we can bridge the gap. And I think this year has really tested that capability of each organization. And I can tell you for us, we came out, unscathed is not the right word, but scathed with some small wounds and not large ones, because of the agility that this process gave us. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Great. I think now the time has come for me to summarize the whole discussion, and I really thanks to all the panelists who have given their views very openly and very detailed manner. I think I really thank to all of them. As a company, if we are in insurance sector, and we are also implementing lot of initiatives in our technology areas. Like, there are many things which you are going to hear in the days to come, that in motor claim settlement, like what kind of artificial intelligence, in crop insurance, use of drones and all for like crop cutting experiences and all. In finance function, how we can outsource or like entire vendor portal kind of thing, so that there is no need of any kind of data entry within the organization. Most of the data entry should happen outside the organization, because every data entry comes with a cost. So a lot of areas we are also implementing as in insurance. I think the key thing which is our discussion agenda, that how CFOs are going to play a key role in the days to come. So my view is that CFO works like as a chief influential officer. CFO is not only CFO, he is a CIO, chief influential officer, who can influence by providing lot of data, information and analytics to all the stakeholders, whether it shareholders, customers, your partners, your employees. Because see, lot of people carry their own mindset and they have their own perception in terms of running the business. But CFO is one man who has lot of data, who has lot of information, and can convince his point of view through the data and analytics. So I think that is a very important role which CFO is going to play in the days to come. CFO also is a chief people officer, because he has to ensure that right kind of people are rewarded at proper time. So performance management of employees in a very crucial manner, in a proper analytics format, is very, very important. Third important thing, the social media is again playing a very, very important role. And believe me that finance function is again, it directly has a linkage with the social media. Lot of people have started putting complaint rather than on the grievance system on a social media platform. And most of you see the complaints you can understand regarding our insurance industry, maybe in timely issuance of the policies or refunds and all the kind of things. So very important for CFO to ensure that he's not only addressing the points which are raised by customer on the grievance portals, he has to actively manage the social media kind of thing. That is also important. CFO is to play a very hand-on-hand role with the CTO in terms of implementation of the technology, because all of us are discussing and talking that the technology is very important, but you know that everything has to come with cost. So how kind of balancing in the cost and the technology initiative can be built, what kind of things are good for organization in a small period of time, in a short term or in a long term. That differentiation and understanding of the technology is extremely important for CFO. And of course, last but not least, the compliances, controls and overall culture building in an organization is the role of the CFO. So I think this is all my view from that perspective. Bhavna, now over to you. Thank you very much for giving this time opportunity.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Jain. Mr. Jain, just that there are certain few questions which have come up from the audience, and I would just like to address that to all our eminent panelists. First up, the question is, what can CFOs do now to prepare for new global digital tax rules? I'd just like to ask if any of our panelists could take that up. If Mr. Ruia, Neetu, anyone, Sugit, anyone would like to take that up? Debashish, Jayaprakash, Rahul?
Sure.
Yes,
I can take that, Bhavna. So I believe, the way the world is evolving, there is a aspect of global protectionism on economies across the globe, whether you look at US, you look at China, or even our own country. And this is only going to grow as economies struggle to get their own space, in the world. So from that perspective, these will be ever evolving. And the aspect just from a sustained basis to look at this is to have specialized people in your system who will kind of bifurcate into your normal routine tax compliances and look at things like digital tax compliances in a specialized in a separate way. But to get the right ecosystem and people into the system who come with the business knowledge, because tax has to have a complete linkage to the way we run our businesses. So to that extent, relate what's the business aspect to a tax situation, and accordingly stay pace and get the company in pace with the digital tax rules. Obviously, this means a little bit of investment on the technology side, but I think focus and specialization is a must over here.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sugit. There's this one sort of a statement which has come that the role of CFO must be to partner with the CEO. And the audience would like to know, all our panelists, to just share that view from their side as to what they believe in this statement. I'd like to start that with Mr. Ruia. So if you'd like to comment on this statement first. Mr. Ruia, please.
Thanks, Bhavna. What I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that they want to understand the role, what you understand by business partnering a little more. Correct?
Yes.
So for me, I think business partnering would broadly, fall into 3 buckets. One, can you be a co-pilot to the CEO? Can you be his sounding board when he needs advice, be it financial and non-financial? Believe me, I'm saying and, because that's the power of and non-financial advice. Does he turn around to you and seek your advice? That, if you have achieved business partnering. Second, do you, not just financial, but non-financial also, do you help in decision support? Not just rolling out some numbers from, if you are advanced enough, then you have data lakes to do it for you. Then you have a BI tool. But then do you actively go ahead and look at non-financial data also to, help every person virtually? To help him to take a decision. That is when you would have reached the second milestone of decision support, of business partnering. And third is, do you do your, many businesses will have verticals, they'll have business units or lines of business, whatever be it. Do you drive performance management? So have you allowed the CEO to look at more strategic stuff, and you are now responsible, or you have taken over the mantle of driving performance management and driving, as I mentioned earlier, your ability to work with the team to ensure that their goals are, their KPIs, their goals are met. If you're doing that within all the 3 buckets, I think that is what I would call business partnering. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Ruia. I'd just like to go to Neetu for the same. Neetu, what's your comment on that, please?
I think Mr. Ruia really described it well in the 3 parts. So not really much to add, but I think one line I would in specific repeat, one of the panelists used that. It was that as a CFO, we really have to look at things with the hat of a CEO, but at the same time with the eyes of a CFO. So how that is, any matter is really important from a strategic perspective of the organization, but then keeping the CFO hat always on in terms of those, call it those controls or call it those financial objectives, etc. That should be always there, but still the strategy part is really important to be taken care of.
Sure.
Bhavna, can I add to that?
Yes, please. Yes, please, sir.
So I think adding to what Mr. Ruia said, I think one of the most important thing in an organization is to just create awareness and kind of commonness to what everyone is trying to achieve. And to that extent, as much as a CFO can demonstrate that he's an enabler to business, he's a supporter to the overall objectives, that the objectives of the business or the CEO are no different creating that awareness and simplifying things to the larger audience does help a CFO also taking some hard calls and convincing his peers and people in the system of how that works for the organization in the long term. So I believe simplification and transparency does go a long way to help kind of build kind of a culture in an organization.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sudhit. I'd just like to quickly go to Mr. Debashish as well on this. Sir, what is your view on the same?
See, every leader, needs somebody to back him up. He can't manage by himself, and that's if you take example of any leader across the world, and in any field for that matter, he needs somebody who would translate his thoughts into action. So the CEO is no different in the sense that the CEO has a lot of thoughts. Obviously, he's a forward-thinking person. That's why he's a leader of the organization, right? But there has to be somebody who has to help him convert the thoughts into action. And the CFO fits in very well here because he can create structures. I mean, a finance person typically tends to be a very rational person. He looks at things in terms of, since he's used to dealing with numbers, he's used to dealing with processes, controls, structures. So anything that the CEO thinks of, any thought that he has, he is able to convert that into a more structured form, which is intelligible, understandable for the rest of the organization. And it can then, also he has to flesh it out in the process. If there is, any weakness in that thought process, that also comes out. And then one can take appropriate steps to risk management, etc., to ensure that the plan, that the overall plan or the concept that the CEO has can be worked out effectively without any hiccups. So the role of CFO normally has a very different mindset to that of the CEO. And I think the combination of these two can be one. If it works, it can work well, extremely well for the organization. So that's what I had to add.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Nandi. We still have 4 minutes, and I'd just like to quickly get the view of Mr. Kalapan, Jayaprakash Kalapan, on the same, and also after that, Rahul, and then we'll just get some closing remarks quickly from all our eminent panelists. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. See that the CFO role must be partnered with the CEO. In that case, see that both are sailing the same boat. Because the destination will be the same, they want to go and reach there. So even though they want to go to different directions, it will not happen. So because the direction will be the same, the objective of the business or the goal of the business will be the same. So the CEO maybe have some mindset that they want to reach that place with a different objective or different things. So there will be open mind. Both are should be open mind. And whatever things the CEO want to do, it doesn't mean that only CFO has to follow. So CFO should be open. So CFO should be open, and he should say that if it is wrong, he should say wrong. He should not say that so whatever CEO is saying right. Okay. So the role of the CFO is a little bit different from the CEO. So you should be talk openly and they say that they have to go to at the end of the day, the objective of the company has to be achieved.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalapan. Rahul, quickly on that same point, if you can just say a few words, and then we'll quickly go for a closing remark, wherein I'd like everyone to say one line towards the end. Over to you, sir.
Definitely, Bhavna. I think a lot have been already spoken by the eminent speakers, which include Hemant, Debashish, and many more. So I think all of those voices are there. But still, to give quick my views, I think CFO, apart from this, I think it depends upon how we build the relations between a CEO and the CFO. And that depends the approach of a CFO. If the approach is very open and transparent and to give a very critical assessment of the ideas so that CEO is going ahead in the market and taking calls, it is just not based on the guts. It is supported by a good technical analysis and also with a feedback. I mean to say, as a business partner, at times CFO also need to be slightly averse of the opportunity and the risk assessment. So everything can't be black and white. So somewhere we have to enter into the gray area. And if that is workable for the business, the CFO having a candid discussion with the CEO, that really helps the business. And that's how I think, apart from a people manager, Mr. Hemant Jain talked about CIO term. I firmly believe into a value creator. So that's the role I think as a CFO we can play a very vital role into creating value for the business and for the stakeholders by having a strong balance sheet end of the day, and not just the short-term benefits or long-term benefit and better returns. Over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Kedia. Since we're just falling in short of time, I'd just like towards the end, we couldn't hear much from a couple of our panelists. Neetu, if you can just say a couple of concluding remarks also, if Mr. Ruya posts that, and we can follow it up with all our eminent panelists. Ms. Neetu, your concluding remarks, please, ma'am.
Yeah, I think as a conclusion, just would say that it's really important to have that balance as a CFO on the business partnering side versus the traditional role even a CFO is supposed to still do in terms of from our technical accounting, but keeping the business partnering in perspective. Even to me, that technical accounting can be how it can really impact that business, how that can be converted into supporting the business objectives. That's also very critical. And then we spoke about the risk management and technology and cost management. So I think all the aspects are really balancing these things. When we speak about technology, we need to also be considerate about the cost management. When we speak about the business partnering and the growth, we also need to look at it from a control and risk management. So I think to me, it's striking that right balance and being a part of the steering the organization's growth is what I would conclude it as a CFO's role.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ms. Neetu. Mr. Ruya, just towards the end, if I can just get one line of what your takeaway and what you'd like to conclude with. Mr. Ruya.
Okay, thanks, Bhavna. I love to be called bean counters a little earlier in my career, but nowadays it's become a bit of a dogma, if I may. So going forward, finance guys will have two careers: A, the bean counter career, and B, the CFO career. So we'll just need to pick our careers accordingly, and the culmination of the CFO will be, is he ready to be the deputy CEO? So that's where I would leave it at.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Ruya. As much as I would love to get everyone's one-liner right now, but unfortunately we've just overshot on the time, but we did have enough to hear from Mr. Sugit, Mr. Nandi, thank you so much. Mr. Kalapan, thank you so much for your valuable time. Mr. Kedia, thank you so much for that. Ms. Samra, thank you, and Mr. Ruya once again. And Mr. Jain, wonderful moderation right there. And thank you for being so patient with our panel. And we did extend a little bit of our time on this panel since there were a lot of questions coming in, a lot of engagement was happening. So once again, a big thank you to all our eminent panelists. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.